in Baltimore and out in Ohio. We took our bus trip out there, our WNST road trip. By the way, still have some space left for my 50th birthday trip in Nashville on the weekend of October 14th. So that is our only remaining trip we're doing this year. If you want to go to Nashville, please get in under the deadline. We'd love to have you along. But we took the bus out there to Canton, Ohio, and lo and behold, up in Akron, Ohio, the World Golf Championship was going on. Robert Canady joined us last week, as he always does, and this week from Compass Point Golf down in Pasadena, where they have 36 bikini-waxed manicured golf. They're getting better. It's been raining a little bit. But you guys had your big golf tournament over the weekend as well with the world's largest golf tournament. But I felt like I was at the world's largest golf tournament. There was plenty of golf going on, dude, from Canton up to Cleveland, downtown Cleveland. A lot of NFL, but a lot of golf gear, and you knew people were sort of dabbling between all of it, quite frankly.
Yeah, Nestor, it's that was a big event. It's not a major on the calendar, but it was definitely a big event. The World Golf Championships up there, and it's funny. I'm sure among all the football jerseys, you probably saw guys running around dressed in their dad attire with their khakis or their
$1,000,000%.
shirts.
And you know, the other thing was the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame too. I mean, the Indians game, it really was vibrant, you know, that part of the world, and the golf tournament was one of the things. By the way, the world's largest sports collectors convention was going on at the Cleveland airport, and that's a thing that draws 20, 30,000 people a day with, you know, literally, it is what it is. I mean, every baseball card, every sports collectible you can imagine was going on. So it was wild, but golf was, you know, number 2 to football. I know there's no doubt about that, and it was a pretty good tournament as well, and really setting up what is the last major of the year. Everyone following Spieth amongst many others. The golf is vibrant right now amongst for conversation as to who's going to win this tournament this week.
Yeah, I think it really set up this week's PGA Championship really well with the winner there being Justin Thomas, who's the defending champion of the PGA Championship from last year, his first major, and so it was his third one of the year. So he's validated, you know, definitely being one of the top players in the world, and he'll be going into this week's final major as one of the favorites as well. You know, with the usual suspects, you know, Dustin Johnson, who had won the week before in Canada, and Rory McIlroy, who's had some really, you know, he's been on the top of the leaderboard in some big events here in the last couple 3 weeks. The British Open, he was up there second place, and then he was in the final pairing there with Thomas on Sunday at the Bridgestone, and couldn't get it done. But you know, he shows signs of returning to his form, and with the amount of rain they had there in St. Louis in the last day or two, the course is going to play very soft and long, and everyone says that sets up perfectly for McIlroy. You know, the 2 majors he's won, the two of the majors of the 4 that he's won, were played in very similar conditions where he could basically just hit it a mile and throw darts at the green. You know, so we'll see if that holds true this week or not. But it's definitely setting up to be really good with a lot of the top players in the world playing well going into it. So it should be an exciting major.
Fascinating, pairings here. McIlroy, Thomas, and Woods going out into the woods together. I mean, 3 great stories there. There's stories all over the course, right? But the Woods thing, as well as Mickelson, you know, being paired with Day and Bradley. I mean, they're sending these the legends out to give it a pretty good run to start with. It's going to be interesting to see if any of those names are on the board on Sunday morning, right?
Yeah, and that's one of the neat things about the majors, the first 2 rounds, you know, where they can actually control the pairings. They do put a lot of these marquee pairings together where, you know, they're going to probably, those 2 groups will draw probably 85% of the gallery following them, you know, and then the rest of the field will be left.
But I mean, I look here, Vijay Singh's hitting, Poulter's hitting, Davis Love, Furyk. I mean, geez. I mean, you know, this, if you're out in St. Louis, which is another, you know, great place to go visit and sort of hang out for a couple of days where this tournament is, you know, the history of this tournament and moving it around, and we talk so much about Augusta being Augusta, but year after year, these tournaments take on Shinnecock or they're going out to St. Louis. This, you know, the conditions and the course itself and the history of these courses all come into conversation.
Right, and this is one that, you know, a lot of newer golf fans may not know about, you know, because there hasn't been a major there in a long time, and it, you know, It hosted the U.S. Open and some amateurs and everything way back in the day, and it should be a very strong test. We'll see what the rain and conditions do to it, but this is also the last time that this championship will be played in August. Next year, the PGA Championship is going to be played in May, and when it rolls around, we're going to say, wait a minute, did we just see the PGA Championship a few months ago? Because
kind of like when the Olympics went on the 2-year turn. I'm like, didn't I just see the balance beam? When the ski jump, right? I mean, they move things around. Give me some philosophical issues on this. I guess it starts with money, and then the second reason is money, and the third reason sponsorship, which money, right?
Right. Just like, they say in real estate, it's everything is location, and then after that there's location, and finally location. So it's, money is it, and the exposure. The big move is, they are moving away from the 5,000-pound elephant of the NFL, competing with them in the fall, because the way the schedule has always fallen for these last several years and forever is, you have this final major in the middle of August, and then you have a couple weeks before the FedEx playoffs start late August, and those stretch into September. And, there you are, you're running up against the NFL and college football. Don't even forget about that on Saturdays. College football on Saturdays and NFL on Thursdays and Sundays. So basically, the ratings were suffering.
Well, it's also, I would think college football has a big, big bearing on golf. Golf and college football feel like 1 and 1A. And, it's either NASCAR or golf, but everybody's into college football in the South, especially.
It has a huge impact on it. I mean, and I can just tell you from, personal standpoints, when I'm talking about a golf outing or, with some buds, and we're talking about maybe taking a weekend trip, the first thing they do is check the schedule to see, one guy's a Georgia Bulldogs fan, to see if, the Bulldogs are playing at home that weekend, or, if Clemson's at home. I mean, that's the first thing they do is check the college football schedule to see if the golf is going to conflict with that, and, we schedule around it. So it's a huge thing, and, not just the NFL. So, moving it to May, we'll have all 4 majors will be done, basically. The British Open will be the anchor.
They're sort of getting out of the way for football, right? Fine, this instead of competing with it, they 5 years ago decided to quit on it.
Right, basically, yep. So they'll get out of the way, get all their big events in from the start of January when they kick it off in Hawaii, all the way through the end of August, and they'll be we'll keep the regular tour season starting in October, but those are a lot of the lesser events that the guys ranked outside the top 100 are going to be playing. And, that's where you see some of those guys like the Austin Cooks and those type pick up their first win, which is great for them. And, you get some, solidified on the tour and everything. But, as far as the major marquee events will all be played pretty much from January through the British Open in July. And then the Bridgestone Championship, this was the last year for it even. Next year it'll become a senior champions event. The actual World Golf Championship for the PGA Tour part of it is moving to Memphis in the summer, and it'll be played there. So lots of changes to the schedule, in 2019, which I'm sure we'll go into detail as that rolls around. But so it's, for this week, it's all eyes will be focused, on St. Louis. And, like you said, several storylines, can Justin Thomas repeat? Can Jordan Spieth win for the first time this year? You'd probably be surprised if I told you, he has, as much as we see him on the leaderboards, he actually hasn't won a tournament this year. So lots of exciting storylines to follow this weekend going into it.
Robert Canady is our golf insider. He's down at Compass Point Golf in Pasadena. They have 36 holes down there, doing some night golf later on. They're doing a little craft beer open coming up here in football season as well. You can find him at Buckets and Birds on Twitter as well. Buckets, of course, for the college basketball coverage he'll be providing for us headed into the fall. And I know we talked a little bit about that last week, but you got some stuff going on down there, and certainly night golf is probably the coolest thing you guys do. And I know it's I think the old guys thought it was a fad, but it's certainly caught on. It's something that sells out every time you do it.
It does. It gets more popular every time. It's something that the casual golfers can do and, come out and have fun with it. No one's really out there to set any course records, so you're really not so much, caring about your score. But even though there are, prizes and awards given out, it's mostly just, about the unique thing of hitting that little ball and seeing it, that glow streak through the light and everything, and then trying to stumble down the fairway and find it following the glow lights, and So it's really fun. It's definitely something different, to be out there at 11:30 at night, whacking the ball around the course and everything, and having a few beverages. So it grows with popularity every time we do it. So yeah, August 24th, you can sign up on our website to get in on it, and we'll be doing it again, and we'll have a craft beer open in the fall, which is again one of our other big events of the year, and so yeah, lots of good stuff going on.
All right, and college basketball, any thoughts on any of the stuff we talked a little bit about last week? That I know sometimes this time of year it sort of goes away and it comes back a little bit, but when the schedule happens, for me, I mean, I go into my calendar, right? So the fact that Loyola's playing December 8th against Maryland, I look through Coppin's schedule to see who they're playing. I look through Loyola. I obviously look through UMBC as well with what they're doing down there. You start to fill in the calendar a little bit, but I think the Maryland Loyola thing at Royal Farms Arena is interesting.
That'll be really neat. Yeah, it's to have Maryland, even though they're not that far down the road, in College Park, but to have them up there in that place, with the history of Baltimore basketball and so many great players having come from the city, and I think it'll be great to get them out there, and they'll get people out to the games that wouldn't have made the tracks down to College Park and everything, and so that'll definitely be a big one. And we've talked a little bit, with Navy is hosting the Veterans Classic, which Maryland will be playing in that as well. So that'll be kind of cool. There's Maryland's non-conference schedule is, I was reading some things that was released earlier or later last week, I guess, and it's not the strongest one in the world. Who are we kidding? But I thought it had some definitely interesting games. They've got some, CAA teams coming in to play them. They've got some, other local rivalries. So. I think it's not a bad schedule. It's not full of the St. Leos and everything such as Georgetown used to do, but you don't really expect them to load up against a gauntlet of Kansas and UCLA and Kentucky in the non-conference. They have Virginia. I think they'll be playing in the Big Ten, the ACC Challenge. So then looked at the UMBC and Towson's, and those teams will be interesting because they both have a ton of turnover. UMBC graduated, basically the core of their team, 3 of their 5 starters. So we'll see how
after they made quite the name for themselves.
Right, absolutely. And Towson actually had a lot of transfer situations in the off seasons that they weren't expecting. They've lost their leading scorer, Zane Martin, transferred out to New Mexico, and another starter or two. So there'll be probably 8 to 10 new faces on Towson team. So we'll see how that turns out. And Loyola's got a new coach, so lots of new changes that we'll be definitely going into detail as the calendar switches from summer to fall, and I look forward to that. But still some good golf to watch this weekend, absolutely.
You know what? I also got the email from Steve Levy about holding the date for a Baltimore basketball hoops media day on October the 9th. So I was excited about that too. So yeah, I'm in the loop now. They invite me to these things after 27. It's wonderful. Instead of seeing you on Buckets and Birds and saying, what's Canady doing at the Baltimore Basketball Media Day and nobody invited me? I'm like Flounder in Animal House. I'm smelling myself to say, is my tie not fat enough or something? But I'm going to play October 9th. It's in the calendar. I'm looking forward to it. Hey, it's the last week of the first half century of my life if I live to be 100. So it's my 50th birthday that week.
What a way to celebrate it. Yeah, that was a great event last year. They had it at the Towson Center, and it was really cool. Every coach from the 7 teams in the area here was there, minus Turgeon, but the Navy coach was there, and all the Baltimore area immediate schools were there, both men's and women's, and a couple players from each. So it was a great chance to go around and get the lowdown on them before their season starts and talk to them all in one place. And conversation always began about having a big Baltimore beginning of the season tournament and everything, and they all want to do that. And it's just working it out logistically. So that'll be a good day, and looking forward to that to kick the season off.
Let's go have some fun. You hit them straight on the golf course. I'm taking a little downtime here for Pearl Jam and some fresh air and some meteor showers amongst other things. Weird vacation this weekend, but I'm back on the beat after the PGA. You and I'll catch up a little later on in the month. Robert Canady joins us. He's Buckets and Birds down at Compass Point Golf. You can learn about all that they do down there and all their events, including night golf, the Craft Beer Open, all that cool stuff. And also follow him out on Twitter. You can find me in the buyatoyota.com audio vault 24 hours a day from anywhere in the world on your mobile device by downloading the TuneIn Radio app. We do come in crystal clear from anywhere in the world. I am Nestor. We are WNST.net, AM 1570 and WNST, Towson, Baltimore. And we never stop talking Baltimore sports.